welcome Coach Abe and her family to Athens, our new women's basketball coach. I know Mary Beth and I are looking forward to meeting her and her family, and just excited to have them here in Athens. It's certainly an event we like to attend, their home games, so we'll be looking forward to meeting her. Today we finished up practice number 8, I believe, and we'll have 9 Saturday. It'll be our first scrimmage. Thought our guys really competed today. That was the challenge, to have about a 2-hour session before the scrimmage and get better. And the guys are growing. We're getting a lot of young players reps. I don't know that I can ever recall a time where we've had so many first-year players, and actually mid-year players, that are getting valuable reps. You know, most of the time those guys are coming in your door, sometimes going with the 3s. We got a lot of them going with the 2s, and just shows the excitement that they bring, but also the kind of what we're trying to work with to get better. And I think the kids are doing a good job of that. Seeing some good leadership signs out there, and excited to kind of see what happens Saturday, because coaches go off the field and find out who can tackle.
First question. You said you saw good leadership signs out there. Can we get any names about anyone stepping up?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of guys stepping up. I think Pop's doing a great job stepping up. Cedric Van Pran, Warren Erickson, our guys that continue to lead up front. I think Roger's trying to take on a little bit greater role. Kieris continues to do that. Nolan has been tremendous at being vocal when things aren't going right. Kirby has done a good job of that. So there's a lot of guys. You can just see them trying to assert themselves and encourage more than discourage.
Coach, obviously, we were able to see you get in some punt work. Was that Thorson going on some of that and some of those kicks? And can you talk a little bit about that whole style of play, style of punt? Is that something you're eager and trying to instill? Or is that still got to get figured out?
I don't know what you mean by style of punt.
Australian rule style, though it looked pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's just punting. It's just punting. There's nothing special about what he's doing. So I think when you think of Australia, you think of rugby punt, where they roll and punt. But you know, from obviously watching it, he can do that, and that's something that we'll explore. But that's not what we're working on right now. We're just working on our different protections, different looks, checking protections, and allowing him to kick under pressure. That's the thing that he has not been able to simulate, is kick under pressure, and replacing Jake Camardo will be key. I thought he hit some good punts today, and he hit his directions, which is important. If you got to punt left, you got to hit it left. If you got to punt right, you got to hit right. We call our field zones, and I thought he did a good job of doing that. So far this spring, he's been a pleasant surprise. You know, he's probably not where Jake was last year, but he's done a really good job. He's had a smooth transition.
Kirby, halfway through the spring, what have you seen from the offensive guards, in particular, Truss and Willock?
A lot of reps. I mean, they've had a lot of body of work. I mean, Truss, for the most part last year, doubled as a guard tackle. He's continued to double as a guard tackle with some injuries we've had at the offensive line, so he's been forced into some tackle reps, but primarily he's gotten guard. Willock has gotten a lot of guard reps. Warren Erickson continues to get guard reps there, although we've gotten him a lot of center reps. Dylan Fairchild's got quite a few. Micah has come on and had some good practices. So, it's a great competition among a great group of guys, and to see what they can do. Devin and Xavier probably provide us the most size in terms of length, girth, not necessarily all weight. Micah's done a good job there, and Dylan's had a sprained ankle, and he's really competed. He's had missed a couple practices and got back out there and has pushed through it to the point of getting healthy. So he's done a good job.
Kirby, looking at Saturday's scrimmage, just from the quarterbacks as a whole, what do you want to see from the group, the things you're looking for from the scrimmage?
It never changes with the quarterback, guys. You could come here in 10 years from now, it's going to be the same thing as it was last year. It's decision-making, accuracy, leadership, intangibles. I mean, great quarterbacks are accurate, and they make good decisions. And if you can make good decisions and be accurate, and you got good football players around them, then you're going to be a pretty good football player. I want to see them execute the offense, lead the offense, make plays with their feet when things break down. things that are difference makers for them, and overcome mistakes, because there'll be some adversity out there. But the good thing is those guys get an opportunity to do that every practice. Sometimes in a scrimmage, you don't even get put in bad situations. In practice, we're going to manufacture tough situations, and they get to do those.
And Coach, being that A-Reed missed, last year, kind of where is he from a physical standpoint at this early point in time?
The biggest hurdle for him has been the conditioning level. I think that's the biggest thing, is like learning the playbook and the conditioning level. Catching balls, that's not like he can catch balls. He's a good athlete. He came back a little heavy, and he admittedly would tell you that. He's done a tremendous job of being in our cardio club and dropping weight. Probably, I'd hate to say, I don't know, somewhere between 65 and 70, 265 and 270, and he's dropping. And like what's happening right now, he's starting to make more and more plays, but he's having to really work his stamina to be able to sustain during practice. And I mean, like play after play after play after play he has to take. It's like, oh man, I got to condition myself to get back, go again, burst, and run. But I've been pleased with Brett, and Oscar have taken a tremendous load on and have gotten a lot of reps.
Kirby, you mentioned Broderick Jones as a guy that's become more of a leader. Just how much has he developed in that regard, compared to this time last year, and how much do you think the playing time he got last season, especially in the national championship game, has helped in that regard? Well,
I think confidence has helped, and I think he learned from some really good leaders. Jamari and who am I missing there? Sailor, or Jamari and Justin. Both those guys were great leaders. I think he learned a lot from them. He has to continue to learn to. You got to be productive and physical yourself. The one thing about those two guys, they were extremely physical. They enjoyed the contact part. The run game came easy for them. That for Broderick, he has to really work and strain at that, because he's a really good athlete. He's a long guy, so pass pro is much easier for him. But run game, he has to get his pad level down and strain to become a good player. But he's trying to be more positive with the other guys and encourage them when there's mistakes, because 2 years ago he was that guy, and he's growing into his role, I think.
Back on A-Reed, you mentioned him with the tight ends. I know he was listed as wide receiver when he came here. I know it. How much is that not matter because of how tight ends are used nowadays? But what is the thinking with Eric with the tight ends, and where do you see him?
Well, we just think he's a tight end. I mean, at the end of the day, it's last year. It was probably a greater deficit. It was something that he wanted to be more wide out. He also was much lighter, so he's a little heavier now. He's more physical now. He's a tight end. That's what he's probably going to develop with us. And there's a certain requirement as a receiver it takes to play receiver in terms of stamina, running every play, going to cutoff block. At tight end, our tight ends are receivers. They do play receiver, but they don't go out all the time, split out wide, and that's something that he was having to do. And he's comfortable in the role he's in right now, and he's really he's got a ways to go. He has not arrived, but he's come so far from not being able to execute a play to being able to execute a play, know what to do, and then hurry back and get the call on the next play and line up. I'm just proud of the way he's fought to learn it. He's fighting stamina out there. He's taking so many reps, and I'm really just pleased with his growth.
You commended Dominic Blaylock before about how he's handled the last 2+ years with the injuries and him coming back. What do you think has allowed him to handle that as well as he has?
Oh, he's wired the right way. This kid came up tough. He's had 2 older brothers that helped, toughen him up. He didn't grow up soft. He's not afraid of contact. He never complains. He just doesn't complain. And if anybody has something to complain about, it'd be him. All he does is work. And, he's probably still not to his electric in terms of vertical speed, but he's really savvy route runner. He does really well in the slot. He just made a play in 2 minutes. It was a big play, a diving catch that set the offense up to win a 2-minute situation. He's getting better, and he's getting more confidence in that knee, and I'm excited to see where he goes. But more than anything, I'm excited to see him get out there and play, because our team takes on a lot of his resiliency DNA, and it's something we sell our players on.
Kirby, I was talking with Jim Nagy about how your program's progressed and how you've kind of put your fingerprints all over how it's changed. I guess he said put your spin on it. Can you give me an example or an anecdote of maybe how things have changed since you've taken over the program, or different ways maybe you've kind of evolved this program from where you started?
I really can't. I mean, I don't like comparisons. You know that. I don't like comparing one thing to another. And I don't really know much about how it was before because I wasn't here. We take a lot of pride in trying to do things well in terms of our discipline, toughness, all those DNA words we talk about. And we've tried to do that for a long time. And it wasn't just me. It was the first staff I hired and the men that left helped set that standard. And the men that have come in have continued that standard. But I don't know that there's a glaring example. It's just day-to-day hard work. And if you work hard each day, then you'll sign good players. Your kids will graduate, and you hold them accountable. That's what you try to do to develop a good program. And I think we've started to do that. We've been pretty consistent, and that's one of my big pet peeves is how consistent can you be in your performance and the way you work, and it shows hopefully in wins and losses, and also the players we develop.
Coach, I asked you about a couple of players. C.J. Washington, I understand, was hurt. And also, do you have any update on E.J. Lightsey since his incident last month?
Yeah, C.J. Washington had a really tough injury, and I actually didn't see the hit that happened. It happened late, almost right out of bounds, and I turned to walk away and heard some oohs and ahs, and then he was face down at practice. And I thought our medical staff did a tremendous job getting to him quickly. He was concussed. He's got a neck injury, and we don't know the complete severity of that or the length of time it'll take to recover. But what we do know, he's got all his extremities. He can walk. He was out at practice today. He's going to be in the neck brace for a while. But he's got a great spirit. I mean, he's smiling, laughing, cutting up over here every day. He misses it, but I don't know what that timeline is for recovery. He's meeting several doctors tomorrow, so we should know more. And E.J. Lightsey has come up and seen us, I know, with his coaches a couple times, and had a really unfortunate incident where he was kind of a innocent bystander and got hit by a stray bullet, and several of them. So he's actually very lucky that it wasn't worse. And according to Ron, it was an inch from probably getting in his heart. And he's just a tremendous kid from going down and recruiting him, and everybody in the community talks about him, and it's a really tough situation, but I think he's going to have a full recovery and be able to start with us and fine in June.
Got time for two more questions.
Compared to last spring, how has Carson Beck grown, and what are his strengths that he brings to this team?
Well, I think he has really good composure. Carson's never up, never down. I think that's a great quality on a quarterback. I've seen, guys that are emotional and up and down like a roller coaster. He's pretty even keel. And to be honest, most of our quarterbacks are. There's no guy out there that loses it one way or the other, but he does a good job being very even keeled. And I think he understands the system. He's another year in the system, so it comes natural to him. He's not nervous about what the huddle call is, what's my read, what's the motion, what's the shift. He's very cool, calm, and collected, and does a good job of managing those things with the offense. So I think he's earned some confidence and earned some confidence with the players.
Hey Coach, with Dom making an impact on both sides of the ball in 2019, how has that balance been affected in his recovery? Is there one of the roles that you prefer for him going forward?
Sorry, I missed the first part.
How has that balance between playing the offense and the special teams been impacting his recovery?
Yeah, I mean, he played special teams before, so he's continued to play special teams. He's actually taken on a role at the end of the year last year where he worked on kickoff coverage. He works on punt return. He works as the returner, but he also works as other roles on the punt return. So I think he's developed more confidence about playing receiver with the contact he's had on special teams. A lot of times special teams gets you back going when you've been injured because it gets you the confidence to get on the field. And he played, some roles on special teams for us at the end of last year, and he'll continue to do that. And if he's the best guy, then he'll be out there to play. But I'm excited about what he can do for us at receiver too.
Thank you, Coach.